What's up, YouTube? This is Drizzle, and I'm doing a video on a game called the Universim, which is a early access game on Steam. It's currently $30, which I would say is a little high, but not too bad. I think it's worth more like $20 in its current state, but it's pretty fun. And it's a sim, like world building kind of game, like so many other sims there are. But you're basically playing the role of a god. I don't know what, not the god, of course, necessarily, but a god for sure. And the purpose of the game is to help these little guys here called nuggets, which appear to be like little stone people or something. It's hard to really say what they're supposed to be. They don't have arms, they just have floating hands. Very interesting. But the purpose is to help them evolve their civilization. And so what you basically do is you start off, and this is just your little center of town, and you have nothing else to begin with. And then as you progress and research different things, you'll gain the ability to make different types of buildings. And as you use your miracle abilities, which you have a certain number of miracle points and a certain number of people, and how many of them are following you. Let's see, it says that's the number that believe in me right now. Like about half of my people, not even half, actually believe in me. It's difficult to keep them believing in you. It's like you have to constantly be doing things to impress and help them. Like if they get hurt, you can heal them, or if you want to help with like the gathering of resources, you can move trees or rocks around for them so they can build their buildings faster, and then they'll believe in you when they see that you're moving things for them. But what you do is you can either click on here and go to this, or you can click on your little icon down here. But there's all these different research trees that do different things. Like when you start off, you don't have any of this, and you can start with primitive tools and learn how to make fire, learn how to build a water wheel, dig wells, how to bury people who have died, which is actually very important in this game. Like when someone dies, and say for example their corpse is laying in the center of town, or let's say they died on the job, because that happens in this game a lot. Like your people basically die of old age a lot, but sometimes they can die of like if a windstorm comes through, that can kill them, or if they I guess they're not, they can get sick and other things can happen. But for the most part, this, for me at least, the chief causes of death have been old age, and occasionally like wild animals like wolves or bears come through, and if you don't have guard towers up, then they can come in and attack your people and kill them. But regardless, your people will die of old age around the age of 42, seems to be the age that they get to. And when they die, the body will start to decompose and become a biohazard, basically. People nearby can get sick from it, and they don't like the smell, and makes them unhappy, which you want them to be happy so they'll work. So you need, initially, basically if you don't have a graveyard, you have to manually go around and use your telekinesis power to lift the bodies, and then like go throw them in a lake somewhere or something to get rid of them, so people don't freak out and they don't mind the so it doesn't cause any problems. But once you get your shamanism followed by ancient burial and funerary practices, you can build graveyards, and then have they'll be like, you'll assign one of your guys to work there, and then when somebody dies within the radius of the cemetery, he'll run out with a little wheelbarrow and get the person and take them back and bury the body for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And after a while, the body's decomposed entirely, so that way you don't have to worry so much about your cemetery 100% filling up. I have the game on pause right now, so that's why nothing is moving. You can stop time. You can go at normal speed, or you can go up to 2 times normal speed if you want to expedite things a little bit, because it takes them a while to build buildings. It takes a while to learn, the different skill trees, and so if you speed it up, those things will get done faster. The downside, of course, you have to react to things more quickly. Looks like there's a storm happening out here. Tornadoes are one of the worst things in the game. They can come right through your town and like wreck half of it, and they happen a lot, but they don't hit your town that much. So that's kind of a, if you're lucky, at least they won't. I only had it happen a couple times, and usually I end up with like a couple dead people, but not really too many destroyed buildings. And people are pretty replaceable, the nuggets. They have kids pretty often, and you can actually force them to have kids. So here's like your list of god powers. You have telekinesis. Le Cupidon is you basically pick 2 of them, like pick a pink one and a red and a blue one. Like when you highlight them, say like they'll highlight pink. That if they're not married or they don't have a significant other, you can force them into, basically picking a partner. So here's a guy and there's a girl. If I chose, I could spend 20 of my God points and make them a couple, and then they'll start having kids eventually. Usually shortly after you make them a couple. They're pretty quick about having the kids. And as you see here, I have 56 adults and 6 kids. The kids turn into adults pretty fast. Like around the age of 1, they're suddenly an adult, and then they can start doing labor just like everybody else. But basically, like I say, the point of the game is to help everybody survive. You go through the different seasons. So right now, actually, I never really know exactly what season it is, except for you can tell, of course. Like once it turns into winter, it becomes pretty obvious, and when it gets away from winter, it's pretty obvious. But like the transitions between like spring, summer, and fall are not super blatant. It's kind of the same all the time. But once the water freezes over, like your water pumps, for example, will stop working because the water's frozen, and then your people can't fish. I think they need to add ice fishing into this game. It would be nice if they would do that. But basically, right now, the only fishing they can do is they get in their little boats and go out and bring fish in, and you need a constant food source. So, and you need constant water. So what you do is you build reservoirs for your water pumps to fill up during the off season. So anything that's not winter, your pumps will be working. But as soon as winter comes around, and it seems like winter lasts longer than the other seasons. I suppose that's just maybe my perception of it, but it does seem like it lasts a pretty long time. And you need a lot of water because all your buildings take a certain amount of water to power them. So for example, this one says it uses 3 water. That's an engineering building. Engineers are required to go around and keep repairing your buildings all the time. If they don't, again, you have to use God powers to rejuvenate the building, and that costs 10 points, and that goes fast. So you're going to want to have engineers. Like you need to kind of have them positioned, excuse me, around different parts of your town. So like I'm building another one over here, for example, so that these buildings, if they start to need repairs, will be taken care of. I've got farms, and you can find different kinds of food for the farmer to grow by going around the planet and looking for different plant types. I guess it's winter right now, so no plants are producing fruit in the winter, so you can't really go out and find anything. But normally, like when you start off, they only know how to make like one kind of basic food, and then you can go find other ones. And there's different kinds that grow in different environments. So some grow in like mountainous regions, and some tend to grow on the grassland. Some grow in the forest. So if you build your farm in the forest or in the mountainous region, then you can grow certain things. I guess there's something growing here. So this is deadly seed. It says this is a type of herb. You can grow foods and herbs. Herbs are used by your doctors in your hospitals to cure people. And then the food, of course, is just for everybody to eat. So let's see. Let's take this off here. I'll use my telekinesis power and grab one of these. See? Carry it around. Take it back and drop it on my farm. And now I can tell them to grow that. Here we go. Well, this is sort of... here we go. So if I went in here and I said I want to select herbs, now I can use... well, I'm not built on a desert, so it won't grow here, but I do have the ability to now select that deadly seed and tell them to grow it if I were so inclined. Let's say here's another farm that they're building. I got another farm already going over here. Now, another thing about like the research. So as you learn more about agriculture, like go through and pick up some of the different. I forget which ones do what. I have to sit there and read them. But basically, as you learn more of these skills, it'll improve your, like your educational level and biology and geology and all these different things, botany. When you learn all that stuff, you'll learn how to, run a farm better, and then you can upgrade your farm and have more people work there, grow more than one kind of crop at the same time, that sort of thing. Now, this is one thing that's really great about this game is the sense of humor. Like, there's a narrator that will pop in and talk to you periodically as you do different things. Like, at least initially, he's kind of like the tutorial guy who's supposed to help you learn how to play the game. But he'll come in and say stuff like, oh, one of your people died. Well, it probably wasn't your fault. Then again, I wasn't paying attention. Or he'll say things like, he goes, oh, it's spring now. Isn't it beautiful? Let's take a moment to admire it before you screw it up. He says funny stuff like that. It's kind of adds to the flavor of the game. But it's so like I'm researching huge mussels, huge muscles. See, and that's just going to make my guys stronger so they can build faster and carry more stuff. But it says when they're learning about it, they always have some silly message that pops up like this. It says, the smell of burning flesh indicates that Zanaki, who is apparently one of my people, discovered flexing while researching huge muscles. So now he's learned how to flex. But it's always some corny message like that when you're training. It's funny. And then it says that these two people have decided to get married, and now they're going to have an hour-long honeymoon before they have to get back to work. Like, the constant joke is that you work all your people to death, like you're kind of a slave driver. So, as their god, but it's sort of funny. Over here, this is kind of where I started. You have a little temple. I guess they built it in your honor, but I don't really know what the point is. You can't assign anybody to work there. You can't interact with it. So maybe that's something they're going to add later, is the ability to do something with the temple. This is again like they call it like the evolution tower, I think. And later on a different save game I was playing, they actually upgraded this to a bigger building, but it didn't change what it did. I had already finished training like all the different skill trees that they'll let you train. A lot of them are not actually available yet. Like, there's a big list, as we saw, but a lot of these out here will say coming soon. Like, hold on, let me find this. Yeah, it says coming soon. All these ministries and different things. So you can build a government town hall, which I had again on my other save game, and you can pick which signs of order or signs of peace. I think order allows you to have like law enforcement, so you can do correctional facilities, executions. Like later on they'll have crime. I know they're supposed to have mental illness. Like you'll have to build some kind of, like you can go with the Ministry of Peace or Science of Peace, and then you can learn to build like mental hospitals. So if your guys go nuts, you can heal them. Ministry of Health. Basically, once you get the government building, you can assign a governor, and then you can assign like a minister of each different one of these things, like education, agriculture, and so on, and then those will unlock other abilities. But all this stuff over here is, like it says it needs, they're all coming soon. It says it needs acoustics, but you can't learn acoustics because it's coming soon. So a lot of these things are still yet to be added to the game. But you can see that they're really expanding a lot. It's a really pretty good game. I can't complain too much, except for I will say it's pretty hard. Like, I'm too early in the game right now to really have too many problems, but just getting started, the first time I played it, I only played a couple hours, and all my people were starting to drop dead because I didn't know you needed to do reservoirs. I didn't really understand how to get to them, in the skill tree. I didn't know you needed to do quite a few different things. So consequently, my people started dying of thirst. They started dying of hunger. They were getting attacked by animals all the time. I built too close to a desert, so that wasn't going well. Just bad things, and everybody was starting to crap out on me pretty quick. And so I started over again and started making sure I had like wells, for example, near like every few buildings, so when people would start getting thirsty, they could just immediately go get that. Those still function in the winter. The purpose of this is to make your buildings work. These are for your people to drink from. Reservoirs are what keep your buildings functioning. And then later you'll need electricity too. Like, I don't have that right now, but you can choose. Let me go back in here again. You can choose. My cat's running his mouth. Sorry if you can hear him through the microphone. But you can pick wind energy, kinetic energy, or combustion energy. I went with wind last time because it seemed like it was, the most abundant and free energy source, which I think it technically is. But a lot of times there's no wind, which is strange because it'll sound like there's wind, but like your windmills will just sit there and do nothing. But they're pretty reliable. So you get these, it lets you build wind turbines, and then you can build batteries to store additional energy, which just functions like a reservoir but for electricity. Because once you get Tudor architecture, it'll let you build nicer houses for your nuggets. Like right now they're living in these little stone huts, but as soon as you get Tudor architecture, they'll start replacing those with Tudor buildings. They require better refined materials like stone slabs, boards, instead of rocks and logs, and iron. And then they require electricity to keep running. So consequently, like I say, you need to have a fair amount of electricity stored, because a lot of times, again, like your wind turbines won't work. The combustion energy, I imagine, runs off of some kind of a fossil fuel. I think there's gas mining that you can do, so maybe it runs off of gas, but like natural gas or something. But again, that would be, you know, a non-renewable resource that would require people to run the gas mines, and it would require, you know, like that you keep finding more places to do that, to mine for the gas. So that versus just wind being unlimited. As long as you build enough batteries, it didn't seem like it was too much of a problem. Just initially, I ran out of power a couple times. But that said, I'll go ahead and kind of start things up here, just so you can kind of... Here it goes. Yeah, he's always got something to run his mouth about. I think it's pretty funny sometimes. But like I said, I can speed this up. And so here it's saying like some, you know, the names are all screwy and hard to understand. But you know, people are being born. I'm up to 62 people. But I bet there's a tornado. Now it says it was a windstorm, but whether that's sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just like a bunch of wind and like dirt and shit that comes through. Yeah, if it was a tornado, it probably wouldn't be that hard to find. Usually they're pretty easy. Like you just zoom out and you can pick right up on where they're at. So I'm not seeing it. It's probably a standard windstorm. They can still damage your stuff and kill your people a little bit, but they're not as dangerous. But yeah, like I forgot to mention this. So I got a weather tower. That's not the tower. That's the person running it. But they predict the weather that way, and they can tell you like roughly when a storm is incoming. Not sure how to tell like what direction it's necessarily coming from. Now so-and-so got injured, it says. So for example, I can pause it real quick and pick up my rejuvenate power and do that. So I just healed her injury. Now I could have let her go to the hospital, which is right there, and just let the hospital heal her instead of using my own points. But part of keeping your people believing in you is periodically, you know, manually doing things for them so that they retain some level of faith. Basically, the problem that I experienced in my last save game, and you know, that I'm not doing amazingly on this one either. Like, I'm doing okay with the number of faithful followers. Like, 27 out of 62 is not even half, but it's not that bad. Last time, it seems like I couldn't ever get it much above, like, 20. And usually it was, like, in the low teens. Like, they just stop believing you. Or the people that believe in you die. That's, like, the real problem is, again, like I mentioned, old age. You'll get to a point where you're cycling people through death almost as fast as they can be born. In fact, a lot of times it's faster than they can be born. They just die of old age quicker than you can have them, you know, making kids. And so in those situations, the people that believe in you die. The new people, you know, the new babies that are born don't know about you yet, and so they don't believe in you. And you get down to this point where, you know, you have hardly any followers. If you don't have any followers, you don't fill up your God points very fast. Then it becomes kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy where, well, I don't have any God power, so I can't do any miracles. If I can't do any miracles, they won't believe in me. And it's, again, it gets difficult to replenish your faith levels, you know, if you don't have any people that believe in you. So it sort of gets to be one of those things. So now we're in winter. Okay, so see, there's that windstorm I was talking about. But yeah, now we're in winter, so you can see the water levels are going down. Like I had 53,000 water, but that goes really fast. I think each building uses like, you know, however many units it says per second. So, you know, I've got like 50 buildings, 50 buildings. So there you go. Now, one thing I can do, like in lieu of the problem with the water again in winter, is that, you know, it's all frozen. Somebody died due to wild animals. But you can... God dang it. Fucking wolves. Hate these little bastards. I don't know. Wow, this is really unfair that they're pulling this crap. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. Like, I need my hunters to come in here and stop them, but they're not doing it. So yeah, see, I mean, I'm losing lots of people here. I don't usually have this many problems with like wild animals, but this is what this game does. I mean, between like, you know, animal attack and frickin' you know, now we're having a storm and all this BS at the same time. I mean, I just lost like 15 people. It says, you know, 3 have died, but I think it was more than that. Luckily, I got a lot of kids that are going to be growing up, but yeah, it gets hectic, and this kind of stuff happens all the time in this game. I mean, like, you're minding your own business. Oh, you're getting raided by wolves. You know, it's just always something. What I need to do, I don't have enough watchtowers is the problem. I need to get a defensive tower built so I can protect against that very thing. Try to get them prioritizing that. Now see, I'm down to 23 followers because some of them just got killed by wolves. And I don't think my guy who runs my cemetery is going to be able... Yeah, I mean, it's like one person. They'll do what they can, but how fast can they get there? I don't know if I ever got the other one built. No, they never finished it, of course. Because they're lazy. No, that's because it needs... They're working on a higher level one, so it needs like boards and refined stone instead of regular rocks. Kind of wish this frickin' storm would quit so I could see what I'm doing. That'd be good. So I can just take the body and throw it in there myself, and it'll make a gravestone. But an awful lot of people just died, so I don't have the energy right now to be trying to move that many of them. They don't much like it when you do that. They all freak out, but whatever. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like, I just threw that guy in there, but he didn't get buried. I don't know what the hell's up with that. Can't really do much about it. Hopefully she'll just deal with it, but... Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd get this thing done. They just need a little bit more refined stone. Somebody else has died. Malakay. It could be hard to get them to do stuff too. Like, I mean, it says prioritize, but it won't. They don't show up, or they don't do anything sometimes. And another problem that, again, this is early access, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that doesn't work right. But, like for example, you can upgrade your buildings once you gain a certain level of knowledge, for example. So, like this one says it's upgrading. They'll never do it. Or like it'll take them forever, and then they'll just randomly decide to go do it. But in the meantime, you know, it's like it just sits there saying upgrading forever. But there's no prioritize button, so you can't tell people to go upgrade that building. And this one, even though I'm telling them to do it, you know, they're not doing it. Now later on, you can build a building called a courier building. Oh, looks like somebody died here. But yeah, you can build a courier building, and you can put 2 people in that, and what they'll do is they'll go out with like these little, whatchamacallit, little like wheelbarrow things again, but they'll have, you know, they'll carry around resources for you much faster with those. And what happened here, so you get emails as God, and they ask you to do things, kind of like Bruce Almighty, the movie. Says, I never heard back from you. I don't know if you were too busy or felt that my request is too silly, but I want you to know that Azuhu didn't leave me after all. Actually, I've been really trying hard to help out. I didn't even see him make the request, so I must have missed it. Sometimes they'll ask you to do really bizarre stuff, like to kill their lover rivals, that kind of stuff. It's sort of funny. Yeah, see, look how many of them died here. There you go. I wish I could get them to come out here and just finish this, but they won't do it. And the problem too is like any of the refined materials you can't personally go pick up and move yourself with your telekinesis. Like they have to deliver it. You can do the regular ones. So like if you have a stone refinery and you want to deliver stone to the stone refinery, you can do that. Like I have this stone refinery here, so she's going to have a drink, so that doesn't really help us. Apparently my engineer isn't there anymore. I'll assign a new one. And it's already full, so I don't know why no one is doing their job. Sort of irritating. No, whatever, I don't need that. Let's put another person to work in there, maybe it'll help. Get two people working on it. This guy looks like a snowman. Sometimes the textures mess up, that seems to be a problem with it. Anyways, I'm sure you get the idea. I mean, like, I could sit here and keep playing it and playing it and playing it, but I really need to be getting to bed. Actually, it's getting kind of late here. So with that said, and let me get rid of this guy, jeez. But I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the video. Again, this is an early access game. The Universim is what it's called. It's $30 on Steam. I don't know if you can get it on Green Man Gaming or somewhere else for less, but that's what they're charging here on Steam. I think it's a little bit of a high price for, like I say, considering the game isn't really, you know, quote unquote done yet. But it's got, wow, who built something over here? They decided to. This is another problem with the game. Like, not to. I know I'm trying to get to bed, but like I say, they'll just build somewhere where you never told them to build, and you don't even know that they did it, and then it's like, whoops-a-daisy, too late, you know. So that can be a problem. But like I say, that said, it's a pretty fun game. For $30, you might want to hold off, but for $20, it's probably worth taking a look if they decide to lower it, or maybe in 6 months from now when they've put out a few more updates and filled out the skill tree more and added more content, it'd probably be worth the money at that point. So sure hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and have a great one. Maybe click the like button if you like it. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you feel like it, and I'll try to do more videos like this here soon. Thanks and have a good one. Good night.